Well, this morning I've got a message from Our Lady, and it's about how we are her soldiers and how we are her hope in this war, if you like, of love against evil. So here goes. My children, your world is in a terrible state with wars everywhere and untold suffering and injustices in every corner. My little ones, you are my hope. You are my little army. You are my soldiers, my warriors, my apostles of love. Yes, my children, I call you to fight with the weapons and the armour of love, just like Jesus, who for love bled to death on the cross. Yes, my children, I call you to sacrificial love through prayer and fasting and charitable works and deeds. When the world is at war, I desire you to be at peace. When the world is in darkness, I desire you to be the light. When others can't forgive and bear grudges, I desire you to be the peacemakers. When others shout and scream obscenities, I desire you to be silent in prayer. Yes, my children, arm yourselves with love. Fill your hearts with love and help me to bring much love to the world in this terrible time of unrest and turmoil. How beautiful, how profound. So we know in today's world that there's so much suffering, there's so many people with illnesses, there's so many sufferings happening in places like Israel and other places. We see terrible things on the news every single day. And yet Our Lady is saying she wants us to fight the war of love. She doesn't want us to become like news reporters, always moaning and groaning about what's happening. Because if we do that, then we're just moaning Marys or moaning Michaels or whatever. No. Instead, she wants us to be, if you like, the antidote, the remedy. And she wants us to be love. Okay? So then she says, you are my hope. You are my little army. You are my soldiers, my warriors, my apostles of love. And she says, I call you to fight with the weapons of love. And we might think, for example, of examples in the Bible. There are a couple of examples. The apostles were with Jesus once. There was some town, don't remember exactly where he was rejected. And they said, will we call fire from heaven? He said, oh, no way. That is not what it's about. Same thing with St. Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane. St. Peter pulls out his sword and cuts off someone's ear. And Jesus says, no, put that away. And so Jesus is calling us to a different type of love, a different type of a war. It's a sacrificial love through prayer, through fasting, through charitable works and deeds. And so she says, she wants us to be objects of contradiction. I desire you to be at peace when everyone else is at war. How can you be at peace when everyone else is at war? Because you can have the peace that comes from the understanding, the peace that comes from trusting in Jesus. And so you can be at peace even though everybody else is panicking, is at war. I call you to be the light when the world is in darkness. By the same thing, where does darkness come from? Darkness comes from despair, from depression, from doom, from gloom, from fear, from death. And where does light come from? Light comes from hope, from joy, from solutions, from purpose, from trust, from love. And so Our Lady is saying, I desire you to be the light when other people are in darkness. Then she says, when other people can't forgive and bear grudges, I desire you to be the peacemakers. So in other words, when other people are full of bitterness, full of jealousy, full of anger, full of all that stuff that even looking at them you can feel the energy, I desire you to be full of peace, to be the peacemakers, to reconcile. Obviously it takes two to reconcile, but to be full of peace. When others shout and scream, so we see it all over the place, people are shouting and screaming obscenities and saying this and saying that and blaspheming and all sorts of stuff. And Our Lady says, I desire you to be silent in prayer. And so she says, yes, my children, arm yourselves with love. Fill your hearts with love and help me to bring much love to the world in this terrible time of unrest and turmoil. So in other words, she wants us to be just total walking contradictions. She wants us to be able to bring to people who are suffering, who are struggling, who can't cope. She wants us to be able to bring granules, if you like, of love, peace, joy, hope, laughter, joy, upbeatness. And that's not to say that we're not aware of the problems as well, of course we are. But because we've got her, we've got a supernatural outlook, a supernatural view on this. And so Our Lady wants us, if you like, to be supernaturalized. And the only way that that can happen is through prayer. She wants us to have her eyes, to have the eyes of Jesus, because Our Lady knows what's going on. Our Lady knows the Father's plan. Our Lady knows Jesus' plan. Our Lady is part of it. And so Our Lady doesn't want us to fall into despair. Our Lady wants us to keep the hope. And so what a beautiful message. And it's also interesting, she says, you are my hope. In other words, Our Lady needs people down here to help her. And she says to us, you are my hope. You are my little army. You are my soldiers, my warriors, my apostles of love. And at times we look around, we might not seem like much, but whatever we are, we're all that she has got. And so let us, as best we can, give everything to Our Lady. Fill our hearts with love, with joy, with hope. Let us get as much inspiration as we can from the gospel, from the lives of the saints, from the life of Jesus, from Eucharistic adoration, from the sacraments. Let us not shy away from all the problems that are in the world and live in a sort of a bunker like it doesn't exist. But at the same time, let us not bury our head in the misery and hopelessness at times of the world's interpretations. Let us instead be supernaturalized, full of God's wisdom, God's love, God's outlook, God's hope, God's purposes, and let us continue, even in this time of turmoil and unrest, let us continue to bring people to Jesus, because now more than ever, people are thirsting for an experience of Jesus, of his love, of his peace, of his reassurance, of his comfort, of his joy, of his forgiveness. So this time, even though it's a time of unrest and suffering, it's also a time of great, great mission, because now more than ever, people are in desperate need of peace, purpose, and love. So let us bring our friends, bring these people, bring the world to Our Lady, and let us ask Our Lady that she will use us, as simple as we are, that she will use us to be her apostles of love, her apostles of peace, and also to point people towards her messages in Medjugorje, where of course she speaks so much of peace and the necessity of prayer, the necessity of fasting, and the necessity of turning our whole entire lives to Jesus. So thank you for watching, and let us do that, and let us bring our hearts to Our Lady and give Our Lady great joy and great peace as we spread the love, spread the peace, and spread the hope in today's world. Thank you for watching.